7 Days to Die is still having a hell of a strange few months, with the most recent updates seemingly destroying the game for a lot of the community members that started playing the game back when it released years and years ago. I'm pretty sure it was 2013 when it first came out. But since then, the game has come leaps and bounds. Tons of stuff being added, loads and loads of those features being absolutely phenomenal. But in the last 2 to 3 years, things have started to go slowly downhill. And today we've seen a whole host of updates that have come out for the game since the version 2.0 launch. A lot of those seem to be addressing a lot of the community's negativity towards version 1.0 and 2.0, and a lot of the biome progression, storms, which those things overall have given the game much more of an arcadey feel than what it used to be. It used to be just a fun, gritty survival game. Now it seems a lot of the features are heading towards that more arcadey vibe, which is not what people really wanted. And since 1.0 has come out, it does seem like the game has gone quite downhill. The reviews overall are saying pretty much the same thing. Most recent reviews being mixed, with just 69% of the almost 2,000 of those being positive, which is not a good sign. There seems like they're not really listening to the community and just pushing out what they want to put into the game, whereas they built it on a foundation with a community that wanted it a certain way. And yes, obviously you're not entitled to get everything the way that you want it, but when you've built a community of people, this has got over 120,000 reviews. 7 Days to Die has sold millions and millions of copies. It is one of the most popular zombie survival games out there, and they're not listening to what the players want. I mean, I think this one here sums it up perfectly. This is by Max, and it was in the past 30 days on the 23rd of August. In my opinion, the game was a treasure from Alpha 1 up to Alpha 16. Yes, horrible graphics and performance, now it's horrible game with great graphics. Things have changed over times, like finding sand, making a glass bottles, dirty waters to boil it and drink it. Now you need to find smoothies or water in a container. Harvesting trees to improve your skills, using bows to upgrade your skills. Now, search for specific books in any container to increase one specific skill. Wearing clothing to avoid heat stroke or frostbite. Now, you're immortal, no clothing needed. Oh, instead, you need to do a repetitive quest to get certain badges for it. And that is with the Storms Brewing version 2 update. But this guy has put in tons and tons of stuff that have been removed or made worse, which I completely agree. And as you can see, a lot of people are saying pretty much the same thing. It's moving further and further away from what it was back in the alpha days. And some of these are coming from people with over 200, 300, 400 hours of playtime, which you completely understand. If you've been playing a game for almost a decade and then suddenly they change the main fundamentals of it and turn it into something that's more arcadey, it's not a good look. But with the last 3 beta updates, let's have a look if they are changing the game and making it back into the game that it used to be before 1.0 and all of the alphas. So version 2.2 came out on August the 7th. Since then, we've seen version 2.3, 2.3b8 and 2.3b9 all on the experimental branch. We have no news yet as to when these are actually going to come to a version 3. I'd assume this is probably going to come before Christmas at some point, and then they'll push out a bigger update after Christmas. But if you do want to check it out, obviously pretty simple. If you are playing on Steam, go into your game, go into properties, betas, click beta participation, and then you can pick which beta you want to participate in. Now, as you can see, there is an absolutely monumental list of things that have gone into these 2 updates. So with the version 2.3b9, the most recent one, and then the b8 was just a couple of weeks ago at the back end of August, and then obviously 2.3 released mid-August, not long after that 2.2 full launch. Now, unfortunately, things like the biome badges are still in there, but they have disabled biome wear, loot, and time challenges to make things a little bit easier and better for the players that prefer without that. I think there should be an option to turn off all of that biome stuff. The storms are annoying, you need the right clothes, you need the right badges. It is a bit annoying. Now, things like storm messages and plague spitters, they're all still there. All of that random stuff that I think was a bit strange. I don't see why they've done it. Adding those new weird enemies that are biome specific. Yeah, alright, a little bit cool, some new fresh challenges to take on, but overall, I'm not too much of a fan of many of those things. But to make the biome challenges and weather things a little bit better, they have tweaked it so you can do it in any order that you want now. You don't have to go through doing these tedious tasks in a specific order to get the biome badge and the resistance for that biome anymore. Recover from biome hazard effects while sheltered now also allows players to explore deeper into biomes. So if you do get in, you could build yourself a small shelter, but still, when you've only got those 3 minutes of exploration time, that runs down pretty damn quick, especially in 7 Days to Die. You now also recover from biome hazard effects as soon as you leave the biome and enter a different one. So if you are leaving the burnt forest and going into the wasteland, yes, you'll still have wasteland biome effects, but the biome effects from the burnt forest will no longer apply and they will start to heal. But without survival gear, storms will no longer require players to escape the biome as long as they are taking shelter. So you still can't really be outside. So if you are stuck in a different biome and it's nighttime, that does make things pretty damn difficult. But if you are a fan of that harder style, then that will probably be something that you enjoy. For the 2.3 B8 experimental version, they've fixed Honey Challenge, doubled the probability of boost and armored up magazines when perking into light, medium or heavy armor, and all zombie loot bags and dropped containers last for 1 real world hour, and they increased the number of spawn for the final stage of all Blood Moon groups to 999. So that means if you are playing at the end of the game, you're going to have 1,000 zombies that spawn right towards that end game stage, which does take a hell of a long time to get there. You will need to be playing for, I'd say, probably at least 24 hours real world time before you can even get close to end game stage. Now, for the most of the 2.3 B8 experimental, it is just fixes, tweaks to make the game run a little bit better and make a lot of those new features line up with some of the older things, making them work a little bit better than what they did beforehand. But still, all of that biome stuff, all of that stuff is still in there, and I think that's one of the main gripes with a lot of players that do prefer that older selection, where you can just wander into different biomes. Yes, the difficulty is harder, the zombies are harder, but you're not affected by storms and have to get inside every 3 bloody minutes, which can be really tedious, especially if you're doing trader quests and you're doing something like digging. You've just got to build a little hut everywhere, and it's just annoying, it's tedious, and it's not what it was like back in the day. Now, the 2.3 B9 experimental, which came out on September the 6th, just a few days before this video goes out. This one does seem to have mainly bug fixes and some things for vehicles. So as you can see, 4x4s no longer affected by storms. So if you are at that level 70 vehicle, you can move into those other areas. You can jump in your vehicle as and when you need to. But the 4x4, not the greatest off-road going up hills. So if you are taking an indirect path, it's not always the best thing. And then with the storms, they've increased the delay between thunder during storms, and storm frequency defaults to 0 now. So you can change that in your main gameplay settings if you do want to. It's up to you whether you want the storms or not. I think the storms are quite cool. I'd like those in the game still, but not the overall biome stuff. I think that should be removed. The challenges and the time-ins and the damage that you are inflicted, I think, is annoying. The storms are quite cool. You've got to literally get sheltered and stay out of the storm. Otherwise, they do kick up quite a lot and they injure you. So staying out of the storms is pretty much a good thing to do anyway. And having those in the game is quite enjoyable because it adds an extra challenge to an already challenging biome. But the biome effects, I think, is something that is very annoying and should be removed. Or at least have an option to turn all of that off. But what do you guys think? Do you think 7 Days to Die is moving in the right direction with the current trajectory of these updates? Or do you still think it's getting a hell of a lot worse? Let me know in the comments down below. For today, though, that is all from me. I've been Wired, you've been awesome, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on Sunday with some more 7 Days to Die.